Welcome to this gripping human survival saga where courage, determination, and forgotten history collide in the aftermath of a galactic apocalypse. In a future where Earth has been abandoned for centuries, humanity thrives among the stars, but one mysterious signal from the forgotten homeworld changes everything. What secrets lie buried beneath the dust of a ruined Earth? What dangers still lurk in the shadows of a civilization that once ruled the planet? As humanity dares to return, will they awaken a sleeping power that was never meant to rise again? This is not just a story of survival, it is a story of legacy, redemption, and the terrifying cost of forgotten sins. If you love science fiction filled with mystery, action, and the resilience of the human spirit, then stay with us for this 7-part journey into the unknown. Make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss the next thrilling episode of this epic adventure. They called it the Black Exodus, the day when Earth was declared lost and the remnants of humanity took to the stars in massive arc ships, fleeing the poisoned skies, the fractured continents, and the endless wars that had turned the cradle of mankind into a death trap. For over 3 centuries Earth had been forgotten, a blue scar sealed off by decree and cloaked in silence. But silence is never eternal, not when something ancient and waiting stirs beneath the ruins. High above the galactic rim, aboard the research vessel Helios Drift, Commander Ryen Elric stood before the main display. The signal was faint, pulsing, and encoded in a format older than any currently in use, but it was unmistakably human, a signal from Earth. He had studied the Forbidden Archive since childhood, obsessed with the mystery of their original world, but even he did not expect the signal to be real. It should have been impossible. Earth was supposed to be uninhabitable. The signal repeated every 22 minutes. The crew debated whether it was a trap, a malfunction, or some remnant of a pre-evacuation beacon, but Ryen saw something in its rhythm, a pattern too intentional to ignore. Against the wishes of the governing board and with only a skeleton crew willing to follow, he set course for the forgotten world. The descent through Earth's upper atmosphere was turbulent. The air was thin but breathable, and massive electrical storms tore across the sky like the planet itself was rejecting their return. But when the Helios Drift landed just outside what once was northern Europe, the crew saw something that stunned them: green vegetation creeping over old metal husks of war machines, birds flying through cracked skyscrapers, and signs of animal life reclaiming cities long believed toxic. It wasn't dead. Commander Elric led the first ground team into the ruins of an ancient city. The buildings were scorched and broken, but some had power, faint lights flickering through shattered windows. They followed the signal to an underground facility buried deep beneath the wreckage of an old government structure. A sealed vault stood before them, covered in warning symbols written in multiple Earth languages, but all saying the same thing: do not enter. Ryen scanned the symbols, then activated the vault's outer terminal, which surprisingly powered on. He entered the signal sequence and the vault hissed open. A wave of cold air burst forth, and inside were dozens of pods, cylindrical machines humming with preserved lifeforms, not human but humanoid hybrids, taller, armored, and clearly not organic, yet visibly evolved from human templates. The crew backed away, some urged retreat, but Ryen stepped closer, mesmerized by what they had found. One pod flickered as if sensing movement nearby, and a pair of glowing eyes opened from within. The signal wasn't a distress call, it was a beacon. And now they had answered it. The vault began to shake as if recognizing that the sequence had been completed. A deep mechanical tone echoed through the chamber, not from the pods but from somewhere below, as if the very ground was awakening from a long sleep. Suddenly the Helios Drift lost power. The skies above darkened as old orbital defense satellites reactivated without command, targeting systems scanning the landscape. Ryen looked to his team and realized the gravity of their mistake. This wasn't just an expedition. It was the beginning of a second war for Earth. Ryen stood frozen as the hum of ancient machines echoed beneath the earth, dust falling from the chamber ceiling like soft rain. The pod with the glowing eyes hissed open, steam curling out as the figure within stepped forward, its feet touching the floor with a metallic thud. The being was tall, covered in bioarmor, with an almost human face, though far too symmetrical to be natural. Its eyes locked onto Ryen, not with hostility but with recognition, as if it had seen him before, though such a thing was impossible. The rest of the crew raised their weapons on instinct, but Ryen signaled them to hold back. The hybrid figure extended a hand, not in aggression but in greeting, or maybe invitation. A voice came through the old vault's comm system, distorted and broken but intelligible in ancient Earth dialect. You have returned. Initiate protocol Genesis. The floor panel surrounding the vault began to slide open, revealing a deeper descent into the earth. A massive elevator activated, ancient gears grinding into motion. The hybrid figure stepped onto the platform, then turned to wait, clearly expecting them to follow. Ryen exchanged a look with his second-in-command, a woman named Asha Vale, whose expression told him she thought this was madness. They stepped onto the elevator together and the platform began to descend, revealing a hidden city buried far below the ruins. A megastructure of sleek metal and bioglass sprawled beneath them like the skeleton of a forgotten god. Lights came on row by row, revealing massive statues of hybrid warriors, domed halls and strange growths that pulsed with faint light. The hybrid spoke again. "Welcome to Bastion Zero, birthplace of the Reclaimers." Asha whispered that this place should not exist. Ryen nodded, but he also knew the answers they sought lay here and possibly something far more dangerous. As the elevator reached the base level, a wave of heat hit them from below. Artificial atmosphere systems long dormant surged back to life. Fans, turbines, even ancient gravity regulators rumbled back into operation, as if the city itself had been asleep and was now waking to its master's return. Dozens more pods lined the great hall, some still closed, others empty. Ryen asked what had happened here, why Earth had been abandoned, if this was the real reason the evacuation had been forced. The hybrid known as Kale responded with something chilling. Earth was not lost to war or climate alone, it was quarantined to contain the Reclaimers, humanity's final experiment in forced evolution. Kale led them to a central archive, a living crystal structure containing preserved memories, voices, holograms and genetic logs. There they saw what had been hidden from all human history. In Earth's final days before the Black Exodus, the Reclaimer Project was initiated to build a warrior race capable of surviving any environment, regenerating from damage and adapting to alien threats. What the architects did not foresee was that their creations would evolve too quickly and develop well independent of their creators. When the first Reclaimer uprising began, a failsafe protocol triggered the global lockdown. Orbital cannons were launched to destroy escape routes and the project was sealed underground. The Ark ships were told Earth was lost to toxic fallout, not rebellion. The truth had been buried for over 300 years. Asha argued they should leave now, warn the colonies and never return, but Ryen was no longer certain that escape was possible. The satellites above had gone silent and the Helios drift remained powerless. As Kale guided them to an upper control chamber, they passed through corridors of stored genetic material and ancient human DNA vaults marked with names of long-dead cities and nations. It became clear that the Reclaimers had not just been soldiers, they were also meant to be archivists, preservers of what humanity might lose in the stars. In the command chamber, Kale activated a star map and a network of still-functioning orbital nodes around the planet. Ryen recognized the pattern. They were weapons platforms, but aimed not at space but inward toward Earth's core, designed to destroy Bastion Zero if the Reclaimers ever escaped. Before Ryen could ask more, the alarms rang through the vault, red lights flashing across every surface. The vault doors above were breached not by the crew but by something else, something that had survived on the surface. A grotesque hybrid of animal and machine tore into the entry halls, claws screeching against the walls. Asha and the team opened fire, but it kept coming, regenerating rapidly as if fed by the very technology beneath them. Kale's eyes flared and with a wave of his hand the walls themselves shifted, forming tendrils that crushed the invader into pieces, then reabsorbed the matter. The threat is not the Reclaimers, he said quietly, the threat is what we were made to fight. The lights dimmed and the archive pulsed again, this time showing a new image, a shape drifting in the cold space just beyond Earth's orbit, a black cube, vast and slowly rotating, silent and ancient. It had returned. Ryen felt the weight of history pressing down on him. The past was no longer a myth and their presence had triggered something old and patient, something waiting. And now Earth would awaken to greet it once more. Ryen's mind raced as the black cube drifted in space. Its surface was smooth and featureless, yet somehow it radiated an undeniable presence. Something malevolent was contained within its depths, something beyond human comprehension, and yet it was tied to Earth's history, a dark chapter left untold for centuries. Kale turned sharply towards the crew, his voice cold and commanding. You must understand, this is not a relic, it is a weapon, an ancient tool of war that was meant to erase humanity from existence. It was crafted by forces that predate even the Reclaimers, the ones who shaped our destiny. Asha clenched her fists. That thing out there, it's been watching us since we arrived, hasn't it? Yes, Kale replied, the Reclaimers were created to fight it. We were designed not just to adapt to any environment but to combat the eternal enemy that has haunted Earth's orbit for millennia. We are the last line of defense against its awakening. Ryen stepped forward, trying to process the enormity of the situation. So the signal, the reason Earth was abandoned was because of this cube, this weapon. Exactly, Kale responded. Its creators feared its return too much to risk it reaching the surface. They sealed the archives and initiated the Black Exodus to ensure humanity would never be forced to confront it again. But it's back, Ryen muttered as he stared at the screen where the cube now loomed larger and larger. Not back, Kale corrected, it never left, it simply waited for the right time to strike. As the crew absorbed this revelation, the walls of Bastion Zero shuddered once more, shaking violently as if the very core of the Earth had awakened. In that moment Ryen knew that their time in the city was running out. The Reclaimers weren't the only threat here, something darker and far older was already on its way. He turned to Asha, who was now reloading her weapon. "There's no way we can fight this alone." "We don't have a choice," she replied grimly. "The Helios drift is disabled, the orbital defenses are offline, and whatever is in that cube, it's coming for Earth's heart." Kale's eyes narrowed in thought. "There may be one way, but it's dangerous. It will require every ounce of power left in this city. We will need to harness Bastion Zero systems to counteract the cube's pull. The reclaimers were designed to do this, but you will need to become one of us." Ryen Elric. Ryan swallowed hard. Becoming one of them? He had never imagined he would even meet the reclaimers, let alone be asked to join their ranks. But as he looked at Asha's determined face and the faces of his crew, he knew that Earth's survival depended on them. "What's the process?" he asked. Kale stepped forward. "You will undergo the reclaimer transformation. It will integrate your genetic material with the bio-armor and neural enhancements that make us who we are. But be warned, the process is not without risk. It will change you forever. Your mind will be merged with the city's AI and you will gain the strength of the reclaimers, but your humanity may slip away in the process." Asha stepped forward, shaking her head. "No, Ryan, we can't do this. We don't know what will happen if you go through with it." Ryan met her gaze, and for a moment he saw fear in her eyes. "Fear not of the reclaimers, but of losing him. If I don't do this, Earth will be lost anyway," he said quietly. Asha hesitated but then nodded. "It's your choice, but you'll have to live with it." Kale moved quickly, setting up the transformation chamber, a large circular device that hummed with energy. It was designed for reclaimers to be made, not born. He gestured for Ryan to step inside, and as Ryan approached the chamber, his heart pounded in his chest. "The process will take only moments," he said. "Just remain still and allow the technology to merge with your biology." Ryan took a deep breath and stepped into the chamber. As the door sealed behind him, his body went rigid as an intense wave of energy washed over him. His vision blurred and the world around him seemed to distort. Suddenly his mind was flooded with images, not just of the past but of Earth's lost history. He saw civilizations rise and fall in mere seconds, saw the reclaimers in battle against the cube's creators, fought with weapons and technologies that were beyond anything he had ever imagined. The pain was excruciating. His muscles burned, his bones ached, but he gritted his teeth and held on to his resolve. He had no choice. As the process reached its peak, Ryan felt his mind split in two, one part of him still human, the other slowly becoming something else, something far more powerful, something ancient. The chamber's lights flickered and the energy surged one final time. And then it was over. Ryan stumbled out of the chamber, gasping for breath. His body felt stronger than ever before, but his senses were overwhelmed. The neural enhancements flooded his mind with data and memories that were not his own. The city's AI spoke directly into his consciousness, connecting him with every piece of Bastion Zero's technology. He could feel the pulse of the black cube even in his very bones. Its presence was immense and suffocating. "You are now one of us," Kale said from behind him. Ryan turned to see the hybrid's eyes glowing with approval. "But you must act quickly. The cube will arrive within hours, and when it does, it will bring Earth to its knees." Ryan nodded. He had become a reclaimer, but in that moment he realized something far more important. The fate of Earth did not rest in the hands of technology or even the reclaimers. It rested with the human spirit, the same spirit that had once pushed them to conquer the stars and that would now push them to save their home. The countdown had begun. Ryan stood at the center of the command room, his mind racing with data and unfamiliar sensations. He could feel the pulse of the black cube through the very fabric of Bastion Zero. Its presence was a constant hum in his thoughts, but it wasn't just the cube that threatened Earth now. It was what it represented, an ancient force so powerful it had the potential to erase humanity from existence itself. The air in the command room grew heavy as Kale and Asha joined him on the central platform. They stood in silence for a moment, taking in the vast system surrounding them. The city's technology pulsed softly with power, but it wasn't enough to stand against the cube's oncoming arrival. Asha's voice broke the stillness. "How long do we have before it reaches the surface?" Ryan's eyes narrowed as he interfaced directly with the city's AI. He could feel the calculations running through his mind, the trajectory, the velocity, the time remaining. It was coming fast, too fast for any conventional defense systems to activate. "It will arrive in less than 2 hours," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "We need to prepare," he added, turning to Kale. "What's the plan? The reclaimers never fought something like this, did they?" Kale's face hardened. "No, the cube was unlike anything we've ever encountered. It was designed to break us, to force our evolution into something we couldn't control. We fought other threats, but nothing like this." Ryan clenched his fists. "We need to stop it before it can land. If we don't, humanity is finished." Kale nodded. "You've become one of us now, but you'll need to master the full capabilities of the reclaimer transformation if you want to stand a chance. The city systems are at your disposal. Use them to prepare for what's coming." Ryan took a deep breath. He had become something more than human, but he wasn't sure yet what that meant. He felt the weight of his decision settle on his shoulders. He had no choice but to rise up and face the threat head on. The legacy of Earth's survivors was in his hands now. We're going to need weapons, he said, and then looked at Asha. You can help with that, right? Asha met his gaze and nodded. I've worked with this tech before. I know where the armory is. I'll get us the firepower we need. Kale stepped forward. There is one weapon more powerful than any you've seen in your arsenal. It's buried deep within the city's core, but it's dangerous. It was designed to be a last resort if the reclaimers ever faced an existential threat. What kind of weapon? Ryen asked, feeling a chill run down his spine. A weapon capable of erasing not just the cube but the entire presence of anything it touches. It can destroy its enemies completely, but it will also destroy everything in its path, even the city itself. Asha shook her head. That's a suicide option. We can't destroy everything we've worked for. We may not have a choice, Ryen said. His mind was already calculating the odds. The weapon could be their only chance against the cube, but using it would come with irreversible consequences. Kale's eyes darkened. But there is another way, a different weapon buried beneath Bastion Zero's foundations. It is less powerful, but it may be enough to hold the cube off until we can disable its core, but this will require your full connection to the city systems. Ryan's eyes widened. What do you mean, my full connection? You must allow the AI to merge with you completely, Kale explained. The reclaimers were designed to merge their consciousness with Bastion Zero systems to maximize their strength, but it's not a simple process. You will lose part of your humanity in the process, but you will gain the ability to control every aspect of the city's defense grid. Ryen hesitated. He had already become one with the city in some ways, but this was different. This was an irreversible transformation into something far more powerful and distant from human nature. Could he really do this? Could he risk losing everything that made him who he was? Asha stepped forward, her voice soft and understanding. Ryen, we've come this far. You're the only one who can stop this. Ryen met her gaze, and in that moment he realized that there was no turning back. He had already crossed the line between human and reclaimer. The only choice now was to continue forward or watch Earth fall into oblivion. He turned to Kale. Do it. Kale moved quickly, activating the transformation process once more. This time the city's AI connected with Ryen on a much deeper level. His mind expanded as he became a part of the very systems of Bastion Zero. Data flooded into his consciousness so rapidly that he felt as though his mind was splitting apart. He could feel the city's power, its weapons, its history, all intertwined with his thoughts. As the process completed, Ryan's vision shifted. His eyes no longer saw the world the same way. He could now see every piece of technology, every system, and every defense within Bastion Zero. It was as if he could reach out and manipulate reality itself. It's done, Kale said, stepping back. Ryen took a moment to adjust to the flood of new information. He could feel the weapon systems coming online. He could see the defenses preparing for the cube's arrival. The entire city was at his command now, but with that power came an overwhelming responsibility. He could feel his humanity slipping away, but he pushed the thought aside. There was no time to dwell on it. The cube was getting closer. Asha stood beside him and looked at him with concern. You're different, Ryen. I am different, he said, his voice distant yet resolute, but this is the only way we can save Earth. He turned to Kale. What's the status on the weapon we talked about? It's ready, Kale replied, but it's up to you whether to use it. The choice is yours. Ryen took a deep breath. He had come this far and now he would do whatever it took to protect Earth, even if it meant losing everything he once was. The countdown had reached its final moments. The ground beneath Ryan's feet trembled as the black cube neared Earth's atmosphere. Its shadow was already cast across the surface of the planet, a looming reminder of humanity's greatest fear. The weapon systems of Bastion Zero hummed to life around him. Every defense was ready, yet the city's fate rested on his decision. Would he unleash the ultimate weapon and risk annihilating everything, or would he trust in the lesser weapon? Kale had suggested to hold off the cube long enough to find another solution. Ryen stood motionless in the command center, his mind a whirlwind of conflicting thoughts. He could feel the weight of the reclaimer transformation pressing against him. His senses were sharper than ever, but with that sharpness came an unsettling detachment from everything he had once known. The humanity he had fought to protect felt distant now, as though it was something he could no longer fully comprehend. The AI's voice echoed in his mind, a calm yet unyielding presence. You are ready to make the choice now, Ryen Elric. The weapon systems are at your command. Ryen exhaled slowly. His eyes scanned the displays before him. Each one showed a countdown clock ticking down to the cube's arrival. Each moment felt like a lifetime. He could feel Asha's presence beside him, but even her familiar face seemed somehow distant now. We don't have much time, Ryen, Asha said, her voice steady but laced with urgency. The cube is almost here. You need to decide. Ryen turned to face her. Her eyes were filled with concern, but there was no judgment in them. She understood the weight of what he was about to do. I know, Ryen replied, his voice distant but firm. He could feel the weight of the decision in his bones. The lesser weapon could hold off the cube for a while, but it wasn't guaranteed to stop it completely. It might only buy them precious minutes. The other option, the ultimate weapon, was a different kind of risk. It could destroy everything in its path, including Bastion Zero itself, the city's history, its archives, its technology. All of it could be wiped out in an instant if he chose to use it, but it might also be the only way to ensure the cube never reached Earth's surface. He closed his eyes and took another deep breath. He could already feel the power of the city systems coursing through him. He could command every defense, every weapon, every function of Bastion Zero, but this power felt like a double-edged sword. He could end the threat, or he could become part of it. Kale's voice broke through his thoughts. You must decide now. The cube will arrive soon. Ryen turned toward the map showing the cube's trajectory. It was too close now to use anything but the most decisive option. The ultimate weapon might be their only chance. He reached forward and activated the system, initiating the final countdown for the ultimate weapon. He could feel the city's power surging through him as the weapon came online. Every fiber of his being screamed with the enormity of what he was about to do, but there was no turning back now. Asha took a step back. You're sure, Ryen? Are you ready for what it will mean? I have no choice, he said quietly. His voice was filled with a strange calm. He could already feel the fusion of Reclaimer strength and Bastion Zero's technology blending into something that was no longer fully human, but if it meant saving Earth, he was willing to lose himself in the process. The countdown reached its final seconds. The room grew silent as the weapon powered up. Ryen could feel the city's heartbeat in his chest. The power to destroy the cube and everything around it was now at his fingertips. The black cube was almost at the planet's surface. Its presence was a dark shadow casting its chill over the atmosphere. Ryen's eyes locked onto the cube as it descended, knowing that once he activated the weapon there would be no turning back. He reached out, his mind connecting fully with the city systems and focusing all his energy on the weapon. He could feel the ancient technology resonating with his own enhanced body as he prepared to release its full force. But just as he was about to pull the trigger, the air around him seemed to ripple. A sudden disturbance vibrated through the command center. The AI's voice spoke again, urgently warning, the cube is no longer the only threat. We have detected another force approaching. Ryen froze. Another force? What was happening now? The screens before him flickered, showing new data. A massive fleet had appeared from the far reaches of space. It was not human nor Reclaimer, but something far more alien, something far older. A fleet of black ships with glowing energy signatures moved toward Earth at incredible speed. They were coming from the very edge of the galaxy. Ryen could feel his connection to the city strengthen as the threat unfolded before him. These ships were not just any alien force, they were linked to the cube itself. They were the architects of its creation, the ones who had designed the weapon to erase humanity, and now they were returning to finish what they had started. We cannot stop them in time with the current weapon systems, the AI said, its tone shifting from calm to alarmed. The fleet is too large and their energy signatures are far beyond our capabilities. Ryen turned to Kale and Asha. His mind raced. He had made the decision to use the ultimate weapon, but now there was another danger coming from the stars, something that had been waiting for centuries, just like the cube. What do we do now? He asked. Kale stepped forward, his face grim. You must act quickly. The fleet's arrival will coincide with the cube's landing. If we don't stop them both, humanity will be destroyed. Ryen knew what he had to do. There was no time to hesitate. He had to use the weapon, and not just against the cube but against the entire alien fleet. He felt the city's power surge once more and knew that whatever happened next would change the course of Earth's history forever. He made the call. He activated the weapon systems and focused every ounce of power on the approaching fleet. The black cube would not be the only thing to fall today. And with that decision, Ryen Elric set into motion a chain of events that would determine the fate of Earth and all of humanity. The moment Ryen activated the weapon systems, the entire city seemed to pulse with energy. Bastion Zero's core thrummed to life as if it were a living, breathing entity, feeding off the power coursing through it. The air crackled with anticipation as the massive black ships from the alien fleet continued their descent toward Earth. They were drawing closer with each passing second, their dark forms blotting out the stars like ominous harbingers of doom. Ryen stood at the heart of the command center, his body humming with the strength of the Reclaimer transformation. The city's AI resonated with his thoughts, providing him with data streams faster than he could process. It was overwhelming, but he had no time to pause. Every second mattered now. The ultimate weapon was ready, but as he looked at the screens, he could see that using it would be more complicated than he had thought. The alien fleet wasn't just a force of destruction, it was synchronized, a precise unit that had been designed to attack Earth from multiple angles. Ryen, you must prioritize, the AI's voice said, calm yet urgent. You cannot destroy the fleet and the cube simultaneously. The weapon's output is limited. He understood the gravity of the situation. The weapon's power was immense, but it wasn't infinite. If he unleashed it now, the city and everything around it could be obliterated, leaving no chance for humanity to rebuild. Even with his enhanced abilities, Ryen could feel the weight of the decision bearing down on him, but there was no choice. We can't afford to waste time, Ryen said, his voice cutting through the tension in the air. He reached out, his mind connecting once more with the city's defenses. As he did, a strange surge of energy passed through him. He felt his humanity slipping further away, replaced by the cold, calculating logic of the reclaimer consciousness. He had become something else, a hybrid of technology and human resolve. Asha's voice broke through his thoughts, her tone laced with urgency. Ryen, the alien fleet is too close now. They're going to hit us before the weapon can charge fully. We need to move fast or we won't get another chance. He nodded, his eyes locked onto the approaching ships. He could feel their energy signatures as they closed, and the alien fleet wasn't just advancing, they were positioning themselves for a coordinated strike on Earth's surface. They knew exactly what they were doing. We can't let them land, Ryen said, his voice steady despite the pressure. He felt more in control than ever. The transformation had given him a clarity he hadn't known before, but it also made him realize that he wasn't just fighting to save Earth, he was fighting to preserve humanity's very soul. Kale stepped forward, his eyes glowing faintly in the dim light of the command room. We can only stop them with the city's most powerful defense grids, but even if we succeed in taking down the fleet, the cube will still be an imminent threat. It's too much for one person to handle. Ryen turned to face Kale, his expression resolute. It's not about handling everything at once, it's about prioritizing the right threat. The cube is too dangerous to leave unchecked, but the fleet can't be allowed to land. If they manage to deploy on Earth, it will be too late to stop them. Kale's gaze hardened. You're right, the fleet must be stopped, but we still need to deal with the cube. We'll have to split our efforts. The AI spoke again, offering a solution. One of you must deploy the weapon against the fleet, while the other focuses on the cube. The weapon's range is limited, but it can destroy the alien ships in one powerful strike. Ryen glanced at Asha, who nodded, understanding what needed to be done. I'll handle the fleet, Asha said, her voice unwavering. I know how to target them quickly. Ryen turned to Kale, his mind already calculating the best course of action. He could feel the city systems responding to his every thought, adapting to the demands of the situation. Kale, you'll help me activate the final strike on the cube. Kale didn't hesitate. We'll do it together. Ryen reached forward and activated the city's weapon systems, his mind pulling the necessary resources into position. The AI provided him with precise coordinates for the alien fleet, and within moments, the weapon systems were fully online. The weapon's energy began to charge, crackling with power as Ryen adjusted its focus. Asha stepped forward, preparing to launch the first strike against the alien ships. As she worked, Ryen could feel the city's defenses locking into place, syncing with his movements. He could hear the hum of the energy as the weapon reached its peak. And then, with a burst of light, Asha fired. Her strike was precise, devastating. The alien ships were torn apart in an instant, their sleek forms disintegrating into molten fragments in the void of space. The fleet had been destroyed, but the cost was clear. The city's energy reserves were draining rapidly, the weapon's power almost spent. Ryen, I need your help, Asha said, her voice urgent. The fleet is gone, but now we need to focus on the cube. Its arrival is imminent. Ryen nodded, his gaze fixed on the cube as it descended toward Earth. The weapon had taken out the alien fleet, but the cube was still the greater threat. He could feel its power drawing closer, ready to plunge Earth into darkness. The final countdown began, and Ryen felt the full weight of the decision upon him. He could see the cube now, its massive black form blocking out the sun as it loomed over Earth. The weapon had to be used, and there was no turning back. Kale, he said, his voice low and steady, we're going to use the ultimate weapon now. It's our last chance. Kale stepped forward, his face grim. You know what this means, Ryen. If we use it, there will be nothing left. We can't afford to hesitate. Ryen's fingers hovered over the control panel. He could feel the weapon's energy surging, ready to be unleashed. The cube was close now, just moments from touching Earth's surface. With a final breath, Ryen activated the weapon. The blast was unlike anything he had ever experienced. It tore through the atmosphere, the Earth, and the very fabric of space itself. The cube was engulfed in a blinding flash of energy, its form disintegrating in an instant. The power of the weapon spread outward, erasing the cube's presence from the face of Earth. For a moment, there was nothing but silence. And then, the city systems began to power down. The energy reserves had been completely drained. The once thriving Bastion Zero was now a shadow of its former self, its systems offline, its defenses gone. But Earth was safe. Ryen stood amidst the silence, his body trembling from the strain of the weapon's use. He had done it. They had done it. Earth had been saved, but at what cost? Asha approached, her expression unreadable. The fleet is gone, the cube is destroyed, but the city is. I know, Ryen interrupted, his voice quiet but filled with finality. We've done what we needed to do, but we've lost everything else. The future of Earth was uncertain now, but for the first time in a long time, Ryen felt a flicker of hope. Maybe, just maybe, humanity could rise again from the ashes of its destruction. The silence that followed the weapon's blast was deafening. Earth's skies were clear once more, but the cost of victory had been immense. Ryen stood at the center of the command room, his mind reeling from the devastation he had just unleashed. Bastion Zero was all but destroyed. The once vibrant city was now a ghost of its former self, its systems shut down, its power drained. He could feel the transformation within himself, the power of the Reclaimer still surging in his veins, but it was fading. The city's lifeblood was gone, and with it, the connection he had to the technology that had made him what he was. He was still human, still a part of the Earth he had fought to protect, but he was also something more now, a hybrid of flesh and machine, and that part of him was slipping away with every passing moment. Asha stood beside him, her expression a mixture of relief and sorrow. She looked out across the city's ruins, her voice barely above a whisper. It's over, but at what cost? Ryen didn't answer at first. His eyes were fixed on the remains of the black cube that had once hung in the sky. It was gone, reduced to nothingness by the power of the weapon, but there was no joy in his heart, only the heavy weight of what had been lost. Kale approached, his face grim but resolute. The cube is gone, the fleet is gone, Bastion Zero is gone, but Earth still lives. That's what matters now. Ryen nodded, but the words felt hollow to him. He had done what needed to be done, but the victory felt empty. There would be no rebuilding Bastion Zero, no return to the days of technological marvels and safe havens. Humanity was starting over from nothing. But as he looked around at the desolation, he realized something else too. The power to rebuild wasn't in the city systems or the technology they had relied on. It was in the people, the survivors, the ones who had witnessed the collapse of their world and yet still fought for their future. The people of Earth were resilient. They had survived before, and they would survive again. We've lost so much, Ryen said finally, his voice quieter now, but we haven't lost everything. The will to fight, to survive, is still here, and that's what we need to rebuild. Asha nodded, her eyes filled with determination. We'll rebuild Earth from the ground up, but it will take time. It will take everyone coming together, working for something greater than themselves. Kale's gaze softened. We may have lost our city, our technology, but we've gained something more. The Reclaimer transformation may be gone, but the fight isn't over. Humanity still has its strength. The fire that burned within us before the cube arrived is still here, and it will carry us forward. Ryen looked at the horizon, where the first rays of dawn were beginning to break through the lingering darkness. The sun was rising over a world that had been saved, but a world that had also been shattered. There was no going back, no return to the past. The future would be something new, something born from the ashes of the old. He turned back to Asha and Kale, his resolve hardening. We're going to need everyone to rebuild this Earth. But we can't do it alone. We'll need allies, new alliances, people who can help us reclaim what was lost. We'll need to find a way to bring the world together again. And we will, Kale said, his voice filled with quiet strength. Humanity will rise from this just as we always have. Ryen nodded. This isn't the end, it's the beginning of something new. As the sun rose higher, casting its light over the ruined remains of Bastion Zero, Ryen felt the weight of his transformation slowly lifting. He wasn't just a part of the city systems anymore, he was a part of Earth, of the future they would now forge together. The battle had been fought, and the victory was theirs, but the true challenge lay ahead: rebuilding, reconnecting, and finding hope in a world that had been torn apart. For Ryen Elric, the journey was just beginning. The fight for Earth was over, but the fight for its future would take everything they had. And as he stood there, watching the dawn of a new era rise over a world once again on the brink of destruction, Ryen knew one thing for certain: humanity would never give up. It would never be forgotten. The story of Earth's survival, of its rebirth, had only just begun.